Wonder Woman 1984 is the sequel to the 2017 film Wonder Woman that dropped today on HBO Max. It's directed by Patty Jenkins and stars the likes of Gal Gadot, Chris Pine, Pedro Pascal, Kristen Wiig, Robin Wright, Connie Britton, and a lot more people in this film. And basically, the story is that there's this stone that can basically grant you any wish possible. It gets in the wrong hands of Maxwell Lord, paid by Pedro Pascal, and Wonder Woman has to stop him from granting everyone wishes that completes basically is chaos in the entire world. My name is Maxenberg. Welcome back to the brand new HBO Max review here on Max Talks Movies. And today finally, I'm getting to watch Wonder Woman 1984. Obviously, I know if you're watching this, you all are excited to check this one out. This came out today at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern time on HBO Max, the first kind of big test of a superhero film dropping on streaming. I'm going to talk about my thoughts, non-spoiler of this film. Before I start, please hit that like button. That's the best way to support this channel. Also, please subscribe to the channel and ring that bell for a lot more reviews coming down the pipeline. And also, please comment down below your non-spoiler thoughts of this film. If you have seen it already, tell me, did you like this better than the first one? Tell me, is this one of your favorite DC films, least favorite? Just tell me all that in the comment section down below. If you have not checked this one out yet, please let me know. Are you going to check this one out this weekend or even today on Christmas? Let me know in the comment section down below. And again, Merry Christmas to all of you who celebrate Christmas. Let's get into my non-spoiler review. So as I said, this is kind of the most anticipated movie left, obviously, of the year. It's kind of the only big superhero movie that we got here in 2020. This was supposed to come out June of 2019. Then it was pushed to right when the pandemic was about to really kick off in June of 2020. That got pushed. We thought Patty Jenkins was pretty persistent. We got to go to theaters. And then it drops on HBO Max with no extra price. Obviously, I don't want to talk about my thoughts on their release plan for next year. I'm just talking about this movie as a whole. Again, if you don't know my thoughts on the first film, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good superhero film that had some really touching moments and characters that I cared about, but the ending just didn't really work for me, that big final battle. And I thought it was a good movie, not a great movie. So I was hoping this movie could either improve on it or just keep it as it is, a fun little superhero movie. And that's what I can say about this movie. It's a very good movie. Patty Jenkins does a really good job, but it all comes down to Gal Gadot, who once again is really great as Wonder Woman. A really great performance, and she is so fun to watch on screen. It's so hard not to root for Gal Gadot. And just like in Batman v Superman, Justice League, and the first one, she is so bright in a very dark situation that it's a very positive character that I think is very necessary during these times. Especially this movie, actually, for me, in my opinion, feels very necessary. It's a very positive, uplifting film that has an essential female superhero, which is something you don't really see that often. And Gal Gadot is just brings so much to the character. I understand why she inspires so many different people. And it's a very great character that gets to do a lot of different stuff in this film. As I said, Chris Pine is back as Steve. I'm not going to explain to you how they explain that Steve is back from the first film, but when he's on screen, Chris Pine does a really fantastic job as well. Him and Goodell also, in my opinion, have better chemistry in this film than they do in the first, which I actually was pretty shocked about. When he's in the movie, it's really great. And again, as you can see in the trailers, just like in the first film, Chris Pine was showing Wonder Woman. Steve Trevor was showing Diana Prince around. So Wonder Woman was a fish out of water. In this movie, as you can see in the trailers, Chris Pine is now the fish out of water. He grew up in the 30s or 20s, whatever the first movie took place, and he's just wandering around doing stuff in the 80s. And it did feel like the 80s. The setting is great. The production design is really fantastic. The costumes as well, not just for, obviously, Wonder Woman has some great costumes in the movie, but the dresses she wears and also the dresses that everyone really wears in the film, also very good. The big positive for me that makes this part of the movie a lot better than the first one is that the actual villains of this movie are really good. Now, I'm not saying they're fantastic villains. There's two main villains, as I said. There's Maxwell Lord, played by Pedro Pascal, and there's Cheetah, played by Kristen Wiig. The main villain is Maxwell Lord, played by Pedro Pascal. And I am happy to say that he probably steals every scene that he is in. and steals the entire movie. Great performance. He is super over the top, but he knows exactly what movie he is in. And he also has some touching moments towards the third act as well. And I think that Pedro Pascal, who we just saw wrap up The Mandalorian, he's starring in We Can Be Heroes, which I'll review tomorrow or Sunday. But he is going to be one of the busiest actors. You'll see him popping up in everything very soon because this is a really good performance and actually a character that felt like a good villain. As I said, my main issue with the first film was the villain and the reveal in the third act, and the big battle with her and Ares at the end of the first film. I really enjoyed Pedro Pascal. Now, what I like about him is that he couldn't beat Wonder Woman in a fight, but the power that he gets, I'm not gonna reveal how he gets it, the power that he gets in the movie is something that she really can't do anything about. And it's all up to him, which I think was a really good choice as well in the film. Also, Kristen Wiig is in the movie as Cheetah. I felt like her character was good, but didn't feel necessary. It felt like Cheetah was just in the movie to have a boss fight with Wonder Woman, and instead of actually having a deep personal connection with Diana. Kristen Wiig works at has a department in this museum where Diana works at, and she begins to be very friendly with Maxwell Lord. And she's also kind of friends with Diana Prince. We kind of get one dinner and they're already best friends, I guess. But her motive, especially in the third act, I wasn't a huge fan of. You've kind of seen type of motive that she has in the movie a billion times. And I guess what I really actually like Kristen Wiig all up until she actually turns into the cheetah. Again, I don't really love the visual effects on the cheetah. It's not one of my favorites. And the big fight didn't actually feel necessary. I just wanted to get to Wonder Woman versus Maxwell Lord already. We had to have a huge fight between Cheetah and Wonder Woman, and it didn't feel that necessary. It felt like it's a very tacked on villain. We didn't need two villains in the movie. Maxwell Lord was already pretty powerful himself. And I think they need to take their time with Wig and maybe put her possibly in a third movie when we get there. I'm not spoiling anything here, but they didn't as well. But again, those are my characters. Also, as I said, the direction is really good from Patty Jenkins. She's a really good director. So happy she's getting a Star Wars film. Hans Zimmer does the score once again and does a fantastic job as well. I also love the opening 10 minutes of the movie. It's one of my favorite sequences in any of the first two films. If you've already seen bits and pieces of it when HBO did release that opening scene, it's really fantastic. And when you get those full 10 to 15 minutes of the scene, it's really great. But it doesn't really add anything to Diana's story. They try to give her a little background, as I said, a little backstory on her a bit more in this film. And now I'll get to my negatives actually right now. The story isn't as interesting, in my opinion, as the first one, in the fact that in the first one, it took place in the 20s or the 30s, but it felt like the time period did feel like a character in the film that affected everyone. And it felt like this film just took place in the 80s. It didn't feel like the 80s itself was a character, which I really wanted to see in this movie compared to the first one, because both the first one really nailed the fact that it takes place in this time period, but it is a character and affects what happens to the characters in the movie. This film does not handle that well with the fact that it's in the 1980s. Does it look like it's in the 80s? Are people wearing clothes from the 80s? Absolutely. I feel like I'm in the 80s, but it didn't feel like a character. It just felt like all the problems that we're having just happened to happen in the 80s. And that was another issue that I had with the film. Also, to try to give Pedro Pascal this little subplot with his son that I didn't really feel that emotional to. And as I said earlier, Cheetah is a character who I really enjoyed Kristen Wiig in the movie, and her character was doing so great. And then once she kind of goes down this dark path, I'm not really interested in her character much more. And as I said, it felt like a tacked on second villain because we needed a big boss fight in the third act. And it definitely felt like that. It felt like a forced fight. Also, the movie is 2.5 hours. It really could have been 2 hours or 2 hours and 10 minutes. They could have cut easily 20 to 30 minutes out of the movie. It did feel at times too long. Some scenes definitely could have been cut. and some subplots that didn't need to be in there. But as a whole, guys, I can critique this movie, but and also overall say I did like the first one a bit more than this one. Not by a lot. I do have issues with both films. I don't love both these films, but I think they're really good movies. I actually really like both of them. I've rewatched Wonder Woman since, and I'm probably going to rewatch this movie a lot. And I also want to say I am going to be doing a re-ranking of my DCEU films with Wonder Woman 1984 in the mix. So if you want to know how both films are in my scheme of things in the DCEU, that'll be coming out next week. I'll be ranking all my DCEU films. I already had done it on my channel. I'm going to re-rank them. I've already rewatched all of them, so I'm excited to re-rank those films. Overall, guys, I'm going to give Wonder Woman 1984 a 3.5 out of 5, a 76%. A really solid movie, guys. Is it one of the best movies of the year? Absolutely not. But it's a fun movie that we all need to watch on Christmas. So, guys, thank you guys so much. I have some more reviews coming down the line. Tonight, I'll be watching Soul. I'll be reviewing that tomorrow. I'll also be watching We Can Be Heroes tomorrow. I'll be reviewing that either Saturday or Sunday. And then next week, we're basically done with movies for the year. So I'll be ranking my top 10 movies of the year, my top 10 least favorite movies of the year. I'll be re-ranking Pixar, re-ranking the DCEU, and ranking Netflix. All this stuff, you got to ring that bell for notifications so you're up to date on all those big rankings and movie reviews. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, do all of those things. And I'll see you guys in the next one.